Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us today on Food for Thought. My name is Sunil Chandy. This is a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church, and we thank you for being with us today. Today we have our live programming, and it's with our continuing guest and of our show, Sharon Younkin, and Sharon has a wonderful guest that she's going to introduce to us, and in particular about how this guest is dealing with the COVID crisis and the crisis and how to re-engage back into the work that we're all called to do. And so, without further ado, well, before that, just tell us if you're here. Tell us that you're watching, connect with us, tell us about whether you like this programming and the format of it. Tell us anything and comment and so forth. And so I do want to shout out to Betsy Rice, who always watches, Natalie Pukas, who always watches, and Jan Hassel. Hello to all of you guys. I know that you're watching. The other day I went to the DMV at the town center to pay my car tax, right, for at town hall, and one of the people that were there just recognized me through this programming, and she said, "You're Sunil. This is and I watch you all the time with Food for Thought, and I thank you for that." And so shout out to them as well. Dawn, thank you. God bless you. And Dale, thank you for watching too. Yes, of course, Dale. Dale's here all the time too. So if you are watching, tell us that you're here. Help us to know that this is a valuable and good ministry for you. Now, let me move us on to Sharon. Sharon has this wonderful guest, and I'm looking forward to talking with her too. Sharon? Ben? Sharon, how are you doing?
Oh my goodness, I'm doing well. I had another good morning, started it with pickleball.
Now we've got to remember that I'm in Rhode Island, you're in Florida right now, and this is the wonder of technology, right?
Yes.
And we wouldn't have been in this place where I could almost talk to you almost every Monday and get my normal dose of Sharon injection into me.
Yes.
This wisdom that you provide, were not for the fact that we went through this pandemic. And
so true. And I cherish the connection that we're still able to have, Father Sunil. And I get my dose of Father Sunil. So
yeah, we're inoculated.
We're inoculated. That's
right.
And so one of the things, so I'm doing well, thank you. And then I have my smoothie. So I'm doing the things that, again, I'm encouraging everyone else to do for good self-care during this stressful, time of history, really, that we've been going through. And so when you and I were reviewing the past year, one of the things that we realized really is that we really hadn't had many medical first responders on the show. And we wanted to, because our mission has been to talk about mental health during the pandemic, and we've looked at a lot of different perspectives. And I think part of it was that we were kind of realizing that they were very busy. And so, but then as we thought more about it, that was
and stressed, of course.
And stressed, right? Yeah. So, and then 2 weeks ago, we had, I thought, a wonderful show with Dr. Thomas, who came on, and she discussed mental health, particularly with our physicians and medical first responders. And so another person that I thought of was my niece, Kayla Career, who is a nurse and wonderful woman, graduated from Villanova. And so I talked with her a little bit before about the show. And I realized that I think we need to all interview our family members to find out what they're really doing, because I was like really amazed at hearing her story. So this is another example, I think, of how deep listening, a lot of times we just don't take that time to really engage in deep listening and hear people's stories. And I think that's been the beautiful part of the show that you've had, Father Sunil, is how you really have had these conversations, and so much wisdom is shared throughout these conversations. So anyway, without further ado, and I think we sent a bio to you as well. Oh, maybe did you get that via email?
I didn't
Yeah.
get it for this one, but maybe if Ben has that bio, you could put it in the chat, and then
Okay.
I could read that also as we're, or I just bring Kayla on board, and then we could kind of then engage with her a little bit and talk to her.
Okay. All right.
Kayla, how are you doing?
Hi.
Oh
Awesome.
my
I'm so
God.
happy to be here.
Oh, I love it. We just saw you a couple of minutes ago, and you had your hair up, and now it's down. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Listen, you gotta when duty calls, you just gotta be ready. That's the story of nursing. So
She's
yeah.
a nurse. Yes. So
Well,
Caleb graduated from Villanova. I'll do a little bit of the bio, but she graduated from Villanova, and then she did work in the Longwood medical area. Where did you work, Kayla? What hospital there?
I worked at Beth Israel.
Beth
It's
Israel.
just across the street from Brigham, right in the heart of it all.
Yeah. And then she made her way. Now she's out in Arizona as a school nurse out there. So
what was your specialty, Kayla? What in nursing?
Yeah, so I worked in a variety of fields. I worked in child development, and then I worked in women's health. Towards the beginning of the pandemic, I actually volunteered to get redeployed to a adult neuro unit to try to get some more experience in adult med surg, and so I did that for about 6 weeks, and then I realized that it was really hard, and it was something that didn't quite fill that joy that I needed. And so then at that time, I decided to go back to women's health, close it out, and move out to Arizona to try to have a little bit more balance in my life.
And so you're drawn to pediatric nursing mostly. I think it seems like, or is that it, or is that does that bring you joy too? Can you hear me? Hello, Sharon, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Father Sunil. Yes.
Kayla, can you hear me? Kayla?
Sounds like maybe be.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. I can try to move closer to my router. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
she's coming back. I mean,
Yeah.
I think one of the things about, and I'd love to ask her about this is, I mean, she seems to like, I mean, she's working as a school nurse now, right? And so she likes the pediatric end of nursing.
Yes, she definitely likes working with children. She's working as a school nurse out in Arizona. I believe it's a school that's connected to Arizona State University. And so she was out there for most of the pandemic, I believe. So going through all of, having a really good understanding of what parents and families have been through during the pandemic in schools. Yeah. And so also like having to be the person to make the decisions about how to navigate the pandemic, which was a big job when you think about it. And working with different, very diverse populations. And so it sounds like, yeah, that she found a lot of joy by being able to do that. And here we go.
Hey.
Hey, Kayla. We're practicing.
Hi, sorry about that.
No worries.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Does it work better? Can you hear us better?
Yeah, I can hear you. Could you guys hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
No, so, you're great. Like, and as nurses, you have to adapt to things. So you're doing it, which is great.
She's bad to adapt so much. I was just telling Father Sunil and our audience about how you've been, I think, the fearless leader out in your school community and helping them navigate the pandemic, the children and the families out in your school.
Yeah, at my school in particular, when I first joined 2 years ago, they said that very often they'd never had a nurse who held such a leadership position as the way that I do. And so it definitely took a lot of, I had to network a lot. I had to really get to know my team, get to know my teachers and my administration. But the pandemic was affecting everybody. And the teachers who I was working with, they've never had to really think about public health before, unless it's maybe lice in the classroom or something more routine and kind of mundane. And so now that this pandemic was really impacting every single person, they were looking to me for guidance. And me being a first-time school nurse, I didn't know much about school health, but I knew a lot about COVID. And so that was no problem to me. I just jumped right in, and I really tried to help be that voice for the teachers that they could come to, and then also that voice to advocate for the things that they wanted and needed on behalf of them to the administration. So definitely a new, different type of nursing role that I jumped in right away.
You know, one of the things here in Rhode Island that I know that we struggle with, especially with the school system, is and some of our parishioners are heavily into the politics of this particular moment with the school board, trying to figure out mask mandates, what's healthy, what's important for the kids, what's important for the teachers union and the teachers to keep protected. And so do you find that same kind of conversation, and it's a difficult conversation, do you find that same thing happening in Arizona?
Yes, definitely. Arizona's school system is unfortunately not quite as highly ranked as Rhode Island or Massachusetts at this time. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come down here, because I wanted to go to a population where they had more needs, in particular, more basic needs, things like helping kids deal with trauma and helping teachers and other important adult members build relationships with students in order to develop that sense of trust. So a lot of times what we find in Arizona is that having the ability to have an opinion on the political matters is almost a privilege, because right now a lot of the students at my school, the ones that are coming to school hungry, the ones that are not going to the doctor because they can't afford it, or the ones who come to me because they know that you don't need papers to come and see the school nurse, it's a totally different level than a lot of times the environments that like I personally grew up in, or some of the other places where we are seeing more of those heated political discussions. Here at my school, it's a we do what we got to do to make it through and survive. If they say we have to wear a mask at school, all right, we'll wear a mask at school, and it's kind of no questions asked. No,
Yeah.
that's not all the time, but for most of the students, that is the case. Yes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. One of the things and I got to applaud you because, just as, there's almost like this great, we're right in the midst of this great resignation, right? As it were, people are moving from one place to another, and
Mhm.
nurses in particular, nurses and healthcare workers. My wife's a pharmacist, and we just had this wonderful conversation with Dr. Thomas about 2 weeks ago, and the stress that she kind of told us about is palpable. We could understand. You could feel it, and and so some nurses are moving out of the field, but you're
Mhm.
engaging in the field, and
Yeah.
and that's laudable. I mean, this is beautiful, because that's the type of person we need at this moment. But what do you need in
Yeah.
order to keep up that stamina, that spirit to engage in this hard work?
Yeah, how did you figure that out? Because I thought that was really striking in our conversation that we had too, was how you went about figuring out how to navigate this situation with limited resources and
Mhm.
also do it in a way where you could um, engage and you feel engaged and feel empowered during the process.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece was just realizing that nobody was going to do it for me, and that in a way I had to be my own advocate for what school nurses needed, in particular what my school needs, and what the students need who go to the school. And so in a way I almost became a advocate for myself, and I really had to get to know the leaders and talk to the right people. And I really had to take more of a business approach to it to try to get heard and get seen, and to make everybody understand that, hey, no, this is really important and it's going to impact everybody if we don't all get on the same page. And so I had to take a lot of time that I had to dedicate to furthering my own education, taking a couple classes, and really learning about systemic leadership and systemic change theory. And so that's one way that I feel like I was able to, ironically, manage the stress of a harder job, was just by digging my heels in and really challenging myself to do it and do it well. And so on those days, where I didn't have much to do, I would definitely enjoy sleeping and enjoy my time off. And I'd go adventure around this new place where I was living. And so it was a good balance, but I also knew that the work that I was doing, I was seeing the direct effects of it every single day. So that was very motivating to me to keep going, because I knew what I was doing was working.
Yeah, I want to add too, because one thing that stood out to me in our conversation, Kayla, was that when you started in this position, you were the only person. You were like a one person show. And now you have a staff of 4 or 5 people. I think.
Yes. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
You were the one who grew it, right?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Thank you for reminding me of that. Now they're just such an inherent part of my life. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. And but yeah, last year, during the first year when COVID was in the schools and everything was kind of slowly reopening, it was just me. And I did a really good job, but I was not, it was terrible. It was very stressful, lots of work. And I knew I was doing the work of like 2 or 3 people, but as was everybody else. And so I had to practice empathy with, the other teachers who were being called to do things that they weren't typically going to do. But at the same time, I also had to prioritize my tasks, the things that only an RN could do. But by the end of the year, I said, you know what, this is not sustainable. And I need help. And so I ended up using a couple of the nursing students that would come to my school to practice their clinical hours. And I built some relationships with them. And then some of them, one student in particular, really enjoyed her time. And she ended up volunteering to come and work with me over the summer during summer school. And so then she did such a great job. And I was kind of a mentor to her. She did such a great job that I advocated to my principal. I said, hey, what if we brought Lizzie on board, like as a full-time assistant to me, and we could pay her, that would be awesome. And she said, yeah, totally, let's do it. And so then the health assistant role was made. And Lizzie, between the two of us, gosh, I have no idea how I did it last year without her, but we've been able to accomplish so much more. And in terms of COVID in particular, I've developed another role, the health office clerk, and that person, all they do is COVID, and they're part-time. They can be in person or remote. And so that is a great business option to also help save some of our resources and be a good use of our funds from the government funding that we get for COVID money. Every school gets a certain amount of COVID money. And so I said, well, I think this should go towards a new role. And so now Lizzie and I are able to do things that are much more specific to our passions and to our skills. And we have Eric Romero, who is just a godsend as well. He has taken all of COVID off of our backs, and he joined the team probably like 5 months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah, and then we have a third-party staffing agency as well, who I brought in to help us with COVID testing. And we have a CNA and another RN, and all they do is test the kids with the COVID swabs, and then they process the tests. And so they've become a part of the ASU Prep family as well. So yeah, there's now myself, Lizzie, Eric, Dan, Patrick, and we have one more, Mindy. Mindy is my volunteer from the public health department, and she's incredible also. She's kind of our administrative assistant, She helps us with like scanning, charting, documenting things, calling families, all the relatively mundane tasks that she always does with a smile. So shout out to all of my team. They're all absolutely incredible. And I don't know how I would be able to be smiling and sitting here and doing this if it weren't for them.
Hopefully, that's beautiful. Sharon, this kind of reminds me of some of the things that we've been talking about over this year. And I think, Kayla, you've done this, is you've really leaned into this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, that my previous question about what keeps you buoyed up and encouraged to do this. My sense is that you, in the leaning in, you were learning, you had a passion to learn about leadership, about this situation, how to connect people, and also I could just sense some of your on coming through you in terms of the empathy and being able to kind of really connect with people. So that's a beautiful thing. I mean, this is an extremely tough situation, and many people can give up and just say, "Oh, I can't do it. I'll just do what I need to do, put my 9 to 5 in, and then just go."
Mm-hmm.
But
I think people do that though in order to keep their own boundaries sometimes, and in order to cope with their own stress. And so by no means has it been easy, but I also, it's funny, I don't consider myself like a martyr or anybody, who's done anything super great. I just see it as like a job needs to get done. And I don't want to put my name on something that I'm not 100% proud of, that I'm not 100% like ready to be a representative of. And so if I'm going to be representing the health of these students at this school, then gosh damn it, we're going to do, sorry, gosh darn it, we're going to do, thank you. Then we're going to make it right. So I'm just passionate.
No.
She is. Oh, I can see the family passion there for sure. And yeah, I do think that for sure there's you're picking up on something that I realized too in listening to Kayla is her dedication to service.
Yeah.
And I know that was something that came through during conversation. Like she really feels a passion about helping others. And I have to, I would be remiss if I didn't mention your beautiful grandmother, right? Judy, who was a nurse for, and just really an amazing, wonderful person who was all about service as well. So Kayla has a history on both sides of her family of either ministers or nurses, and there's that theme of service that I think I see in her.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Kayla, did you always know you were going to be a nurse?
No, actually, I remember vividly taking a trip. Actually, my grandmother, Sharon's mom, babysat for my brother and sister while my parents and I took a trip down the East Coast to look at architecture schools and to become an interior design artist. And I thought I was going to have my own TV show on HDTV. I loved Extreme Home Makeover and all of that. So yeah, so grandma came and babysat them, and then I thought I was going to do that for a little while, but then I remember kind of having a moment where I was like, okay, what do I want to do with my life though? Like, do I want to be someone who just sits at a desk and draws up blueprints and hands them off to someone? Or do I want to be someone who is involved and can build relationships with people and see them grow and see them heal? And my grandmother, Judy, definitely was not pushing me to become a nurse like at all. But I did see a lot of fulfillment in her life, and she talked about being a nurse all the time, and I just felt like I could do something like that. That'd be really cool. And so my junior year in high school I shifted from being an architect to being a nurse, and my guidance counselor and my teachers, once I made that decision, it was the best decision I ever made. Looked at a bunch of different schools, and then Villanova ended up being the best fit for me. And I'd do it 100 times over again if I could. I'm so happy that I chose this path.
Do you find also that among some of the students that you interact with, that there's an interest in nursing? I mean, I would imagine right now with the pandemic, that's scary for a lot of folks to think about going into the healthcare industry.
Yes.
What do you think over there in Arizona?
Yeah, in Arizona, we have a lot of different cultural and family backgrounds that I work with here. So nursing is definitely an admirable career for a lot of people. But it's not for everybody, for sure. Just like you're saying, I have a lot of people who, again, are kind of focused on, let me just graduate high school and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do next. So while we are a college preparatory school, we do encourage higher education and definitely see great value in that. But at the same time, we are aware of some of the other needs of our community. And so a lot of our students they like to enter a trade. And for a long time, nursing was a trade. And so telling them, okay, nursing's a little different. Now you got to go to college for 4 years, but you can get this scholarship, you can do this, you can get work study. And so it's becoming a lot more attainable. I have a couple students who are interested in nursing. And we have 3 big universities down here that most kids go to, or they'll do a community college track where they'll go take a couple of years at a local school and then they'll transfer in to a larger university where they'll complete their degree. So down here in Arizona, I'd say it's a good mix of some of the trades versus a higher education career path.
Now, do you also get into conversations with your colleagues, other nurses, both in school nursing and also outside of this? And what are they feeling? Are they feeling the stresses of this moment?
Yes, it's very different. While there's a sense of camaraderie between nurses right now because we're all on the front lines, school nursing is so unique in the sense where we have a very different role compared to some of the other nurses who are in the hospitals. I do keep in touch with some of my friends who used to work at Beth Israel with me, and they are struggling. It's been a real challenge for it's lots of systemic issues just with the hospital and the healthcare system in general. This overarching theme of let's take care of the people who need it the most, and then when it comes time for them to take care of us, it's like, ooh, we're not really quite getting treated the same way that our work is representing that we should. So there's definitely a lot of stress, but also it's not a one size fits all. There are political issues that make it into the hospital settings for nurses, but at the end of the day, what unites us is that the fact that we're here just to try to help people stay healthy and stay well and keep them out of the hospital. Nobody enters the medical field if you want to make money. Like, really, that's not, and that's a common misconception that a lot of people have now, especially with physicians. But you wouldn't put the work in, you wouldn't lose sleep, you wouldn't stay on call for 24 hours, 48 hours. You wouldn't do that if you just wanted it for a paycheck. And there's no job where you make a lot of money but don't have to work hard. So in nursing, we're working really hard. Everybody is. And so right now we're kind of getting a little tired. We're like, okay, it's about time we start getting the respect that we give and really starting to see the tangible benefits that we are contributing to this community. Healthy people make healthy families, healthy kids, and which ultimately help healthy generations down the line. So it's frustrating. But I think I do have faith in the system that, what will be in a lot of senses, but I also think it doesn't just happen by wishing it to happen. You have to have movers and shakers. You have to have people who are willing to ignite the change and speak out on behalf of other people and in a respectful way and make moves. So that's what I'm trying to do down here in Arizona. Is I'm just trying to help advocate and help educate the greater population about what is possible and what we can do and what we do need, and whether that means connecting with other nurses, other teachers, or the kids, kind of doesn't matter. So, yeah.
As a church community, part of my church, Sharon belongs to Christ Church here, and we're trying to see how we can help the world. And part of what is it that we could do for healthcare workers like you? I mean, other than praying for you, of course, you're in our thoughts and prayers. But how do we, help people to kind of, just help you find a second wind almost?
It's a
What do you?
great question. I think just being kind and being respectful of our work, like not being so quick to, like in my role specifically, people often think that I'm just trying to force people to do things, keep the masks on, and make their lives miserable. I'm sending their kid home 100 times, and that's truly not the case. It's really just that I'm following the guidance of public health, and I'm really trying to look out for everybody as a community. So I think maybe just continuing to practice patience and empathy as best you can would be the first request. But then the little things are always nice, like little cards, little sticky notes. We do this program at my school called Sparks of Kindness, and our mascot is the Sparky Sun Devil. And so we do Sparks of Kindness, where you write a little positive affirmation or a optimistic message for somebody, and then you put it on their desk. And it's just kind of a little way to get that second win and keep everyone going. So that's very nice. From a community's perspective, I think volunteering your time is very helpful at the schools. We're all short-staffed, so if anyone wants to come and do lunch duty for me, from Rhode Island, come on down. I'll take anyone to come watch the kids during lunch. That'd be awesome.
Kayla, you are really good about recruiting people to help.
I know. You never know. Be ready. You might get a call.
Yeah, no. Arizona, I'd love to visit it one day.
It's beautiful. It's a different kind of beauty. It's beautiful. There's no water, so I certainly miss that about Rhode Island. Oh my God, I miss that. But yeah, it's beautiful. The desert is so resilient. And actually, I remember moving out here and thinking it was a beautiful metaphor for where my career was going to be going over the next couple of years, about how I always thought the desert was going to be just like Aladdin, with the big sand dunes and winds and everything. And that's not the case at all. It's mostly rocks, mountains. And yet there's a couple cacti with some beautiful flowers that are coming up. And the plants, I remember taking a hike one day and just looking around and being like, these plants are a metaphor for everybody fighting right now. There's no water, there's nothing but heat, sunshine, rocks, and dirt. But plants need water to live. So these plants have had to adapt. Their leaves are cupped in a way where they can hold the rainwater when it comes just once a month, and that sustains them. And so I love being down here, and I'm looking out at my cactus right now at the window, and it's just, it's such a beautiful, different place where people have had to adjust and grow and constantly change with what life throws at them. And that's what we're doing now. So we're all cacti in our own way down here.
I love that. I love that metaphor.
Yeah.
Kaylee, it's been a joy to getting to know you, and you will be in my personal prayers, and your school system and all of your staff. I'm really grateful for Sharon that she introduced you to me and to our community that's watching. And so please know that you have a group of people that are praying for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we're looking forward to hearing all the great things you continue to do there in Arizona. Yeah. Sharon, is there any? She just left us.
Okay. Here we go. She's back on.
Oh,
Yes.
just kidding.
Good.
Stay on a few moments afterwards too, so we'll check back in. But no, yeah, I just so proud of her, and just really, as I said, I'm amazed at. Well, she just represents so many of the themes that you and I've been talking about, Father Sunil, right? Her flexibility and radical collaboration, and also like a person of deep spirituality and faith, and yeah, and grow, and just growing her growth, and it's in compassion and empathy. So I just really appreciate you being here, Kayla. I really felt like I learned from your wisdom today.
Thank you. It's so nice to do something different too. Like this is really wonderful in the fact that I appreciate you guys bringing to light some of the discussions that people are having, and also bringing it to a broader community to reach people like me in Arizona, and also reach out to your local community members, and just really continue the dialogue, because it's so important about mental health and finding ways to, whether you're a fighter or a flighter, but ways to respond in a healthy, appropriate way, whatever that looks like. So I'm just grateful for the work that you all do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thank
God bless
you.
you. God bless you. Sharon, and God bless you. Thank you. This was so insightful. And again, let's continue the conversation. And then, part of me is thinking it's really important to start planning for that service for healthcare responders, first responders. I think people like Kayla who are on the front lines, they need that second wind, that wind that allows them to know that there's a spirit of love that undergird them as they move forward in their work.
I agree 100%. I think that those connections that people have who are working in these different fields, whether it's from family members or the community, are so important to helping them, to sustain them as they go out and help so many others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. God bless you.
Thank
And
you.
I
God
can't
bless
wait to get back here in this area too.
Yes. Yes. We'll see.
So Sharon Younkin, and also Kayla, Kayla who was with us, Coletta, and we thank God for both of them and their work that they do in the community. Now it is our time to end our program. So as we usually do, let us end with two prayers. The first is one adapted from one written by Bishop Thomas Brown of Maine. Jesus Christ, you travel through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority, making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, counselors, and our caregivers. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go in peace to love and serve God, spread the light of Christ, the light of hope, the light of joy to the world around you. The world needs it right now.
Thanks for watching. Did you know that you can join Christ Church from anywhere in the world? If you're feeling connected to what we're doing, email us today at communicate@christchurchwesterly.org.